Hey, it's Fitz, and if you don't know who I am, here's a quick bio. I'm a veteran sports journalist who writes, does TV, radio, daily YouTube videos, and I'm a longtime podcaster. Also, I have metastatic stage 4 prostate cancer that came out of remission in January of 23. During the pandemic, my doctors advised me to stay at home, and the Life of Fitz podcast was born. My original diagnosis forecast that I would be dead by age 60. But as I start season 5 of this podcast, I am 60 and still calling the many friends, athletes, coaches, colleagues, and medical advisors who I've met throughout my life. Oh, and I'm still hitting the record button and now doing so on video. Welcome to my life and the Life of Fitz podcast. Presented by the great people at Blueville Nursery in Manhattan. Welcome to another edition of Life of Fitz, and this edition wasn't supposed to be this edition. There was another episode I recorded, and I had a sound issue, so it was unusable. I don't know. I'm an old man. It's technology. This stuff happens. So I will re-record that one later in the week for this week, and luckily, Kenny Lanu from K-State Athletics was able to connect me with someone that is great, perfect for this podcast, and could do it on Monday morning. So I'll have a Monday podcast. This podcast is just a few hours old. And Travis Geopfert, the new track and field coach at Kansas State, stepped in. And out of all the people that I could have gotten, maybe he might be the most busy. So I appreciate Coach making time for me. He is currently back in Fayetteville after being announced as head coach here in Manhattan last Monday. And he will return to Manhattan this week to wrap up a few things before he goes to Paris for about 10 days to coach 8 of his athletes that are competing in the Olympics. And that stat alone tells you his stature as a track and field coach in the United States. It's not going to be easy taking over for Cliff Revelta, who is not only a legend in K-State sports history, but one in the track and field history for his wise, almost owl-like coaching. Very quiet for most of the time, but when he speaks, everyone listens. I've often said that Bill Snyder won't be the hardest coach at K-State to replace. It'll be Cliff Revelta because he has been so unique in that profession. But Gene Taylor and Kenny Lanu found their guy in Travis Geopfert, and he has carved out a little bit of time to talk to us. And as I started doing last year, calling people that I had never met before on this podcast about calling friends. And here's my new friend, Travis Geopfert, in Fayetteville, Arkansas. And now we bring in Travis Geopfert from Fayetteville. He's still in Fayetteville. He'll be up in Manhattan later this week and off to Paris. Just your typical schedule of a K-State coach. Travis, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, thank you, Fitz. I'm excited to be here.
First of all, in watching your press conference, my apologies, I didn't make it. The cancer brain. I saw a tweet about it. I'm like, oh crap, I should be there. I live a half mile from the complex.
Oh, wow.
I didn't make it. Kansas State, it was on your radar because of the coach. Let's be honest here, but it probably wasn't a job that you were like, oh yeah, that's the one I want until you met the people in the place. That's the sense I got.
Yeah, that's really accurate. It was a place that, longtime Wisconsin coach Ed Nuttycombe told me a while ago, always listen. And when Coach Kleiman reached out, I said I'll listen. And then you're right. I thought the probability of moving my family was probably pretty low when I started to listen. But then as I got up there and I looked and learned more about the place and the community, a big thing for a move for us over the years has been about the community. And
Right.
it's obvious that Manhattan is a great community, and there's so many people that have been there for so long, including yourself, right? So it seems like just a terrific place to live. And I tell you what, man, since we pulled the trigger on this thing, the outreach from the community, not just in the athletic department, but the overall community and the K-State nation, it's been a little bit overwhelming. So it's pretty cool. It's
Yeah,
pretty
it's a
cool.
cool place. Have you guys even ventured to house hunt in this market? Because it's not
We
pretty in Manhattan.
No, inventory's low. We have an inspection on a house today, so hopefully everything's cool, and we're able to fully pull the trigger on that thing, get in there mid-August.
Awesome. How did the family I mean, you've been in Fayetteville for a while, so how
Yeah.
the family treat having to pick up and move someplace else?
It's never easy to, for change and
Yeah.
transition for kids. Our kids are 10, 11, and 12. They're pretty established with their friends and school and everything here. So it hasn't been hard. That's not fair, but it hasn't been super easy either. So they're excited and sad at the same time. Our middle son Jax is really stoked about having a good football team. It was lit, and I said it in a press conference. It was so true when we told him like this is a real possibility. He just immediately like they have a good football team. And so he's excited about that. And Coach Kleiman said he can come hang out on the sidelines at practice and stuff. So we're excited about that. And
Yeah,
then
you've got the end there, don't you?
yeah, yeah.
That's
So
pretty good.
it's
Chris
cool.
is a great man. You go way back with Chris Kleiman, and that was kind of the catalyst here that led to you coming to K-State, wasn't it?
He was a big part of it. A really, really big part of it. He got the conversation started with both myself and Gene and then I leaned on him pretty hard with a lot of questions,
Mhm.
and trying to understand K-State and the community a little bit better. I'm familiar with K-State, and I've been there a couple times. I competed there in '01 and then in '06 at the Thorpe Cup, and Cliff Revelt has been a longtime mentor of mine as well. And so I was definitely familiar. But I didn't know all the people, and
Mhm.
to his take on the community and and K-State in general. And I just had a lot of questions, as anyone does when they're looking to move their family. And I just really leaned on him heavily, and I appreciate all the time that he took to explain everything to me about Manhattan and K-State.
So you were both young coaches at Northern Iowa, your alma mater?
Yeah, yeah. So, we're a little bit of an age difference,
Mhm.
but we both cut our teeth in Northern Iowa, man. It's pretty cool. I've had a lot of outreach too from former Panthers. Like it's pretty awesome to see two UNI alums leading programs at K State. So we have a lot of people up in Cedar Falls, Iowa, also rooting for the Wildcats. It's pretty cool.
Now if it can become a recruiting hotbed for football and track, that would be wonderful. Um, yeah, Chris is one of those guys that's not gonna BS you, is he? He's just gonna
No.
tell you what's going on and do it in a very sincere way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know him, I trust him, and he shot it to me straight, and I appreciate that tremendously with him and with Gene Taylor and with Kenny who was instrumental, Kenny Lanou, who was instrumental and get us up there. And Kenny was awesome, and just I my phone calls and texts to Kenny, I've had to warn him out, man. But he's just been fantastic too, and everybody up there is yeah, straight shooting, I value tremendously, and everybody up there has done that for us.
Yeah, it's a great group in athletics right now. I've been
Hmm.
doing this for a very long time, and I think it's by far my favorite group overall of people I have to deal with. Just quality people that aren't playing games and are sincere in what they do, and
Yeah,
it's refreshing. In athletics, that gets lost a lot of time. Being a real person sometimes gets lost in athletics. Uh,
I
Look,
agree.
Manhattan's always in K State has always had an up in the people. They just always it's just one of those welcoming places. But now K-State's kind of catching up in the facilities and certainly on the track side, while they lagged a little bit with their indoor facility at Ahern, now the new indoor facility right next to the outdoor track is pretty incredible use of space.
It's world class, and really my brain started to turn a little bit as I was touring the new indoor facility with Jason and Kenny. and and what the team of people up there has built is tremendous. And in my and Cliff obviously Coach Revelta was obviously instrumental in designing that place and everything that you would want. It's a track coach's dream. And so as I'm touring that thing, I'm like, holy cow! And this might be the best training setup in the United States for track and field. So with the two facilities adjacent and everything, all the details with it. So my track dork brain was was excited.
Yeah, it turned out to be amazing, especially with the Olympic Training Center just down the hall, basically, just
Yeah,
down through the parking lot.
yeah,
Uh, Compare that to other facilities. Look, I'll be blunt. I'm not familiar with track facilities around the country. I do know this: when a couple schools, A&M and Nebraska, left the Big 12. It really did hurt the indoor track facilities because they had elite ones.
Mhm.
Um, where does this rank in terms of what you've seen from around the country?
Well, there's a couple other good facilities. You know, there's a good indoor track here at Arkansas. Texas
Yep.
A&M just built a really good one, and there's a couple more that are really good. I tell you what, at Kansas State, if we finish this thing, like from a training perspective, it is everything you could ever want. But if we finish it, you know, with the seating and some restrooms and a couple of and an entryway and some other stuff, like this might arguably be the best indoor track in the country. And you know, and it's Gene's goal, and it's the administration's goal, and it's my goal to have this facility host the Big 12 championships. Texas Tech also has a great indoor track, and if we do this right, we might be in a rotation every other year for Big 12s and bring some unbelievable track and field to Manhattan, Kansas.
It's amazing what they did with that building because as an indoor football facility, it smelled like it had been an indoor football facility for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I was just glad I didn't have to be near the removal of the turf. Who knows what was in that turf?
I was in northern Iowa when there was the removal of the old AstroTurf. That is a very true statement. You don't want
Yeah,
to be
it's
near
like,
that.
oh, we've been playing football in the middle of a science experiment, apparently.
That's pretty funny.
Um,
It's
yep.
true.
What what's the ceiling for K-State, or is there one in terms of the type of athlete you can get in here? Look, you're used to getting the elite athletes at Arkansas. There's no doubt about it. It's a
Mhm.
national power in track. Where does that translate to Kansas State?
We're going to try to get elite athletes at Kansas State. There's no ceiling. You know,
Yeah.
when we get the, you know, we got to get people there. And I think, you know, the staff that we're hiring and you know, hopefully be able to announce very soon is established established coaches, established recruiters. You know, we have longtime connections all over the world in recruiting, and we're going to play to win. And so, you know, we feel confident we can get people to come and visit. And once they come and visit and they see what this, you know, what K State and Manhattan has to offer, we got a shot at these athletes. And yeah, and in the academic prowess and of what we have, like it's just it's a great situation. You know, it's our job to get them there, and then I think K State's going to sell itself.
Yeah, I would agree with that. This is not a common job. I wouldn't think that other coaches face this, but in the fact that Kansas State offers 16 sports and you're in charge of six of them, coach. It's a little overwhelming, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, it's obviously a lot of student athletes, you know, and staff, you know, a lot of mouths to feed, so to speak. But I'm not overwhelmed. I'm excited. I'm genuinely excited and appreciative and you know, humbled and thankful that Gene and the administration gave me the reins to this thing. You know, I know it's simple, but excited is probably the best word I can use. You know, myself and our staff, we're pumped to get after it, man.
Where are you at with your staff?
Through the HR process, we have everybody lined up, teed up to go, and you know, hopefully another week or so, and we're going to be able to announce who all is coming.
So you'll be in Paris while that's announced. What a cool opportunity. This is something that I don't want to say it's unique to track coaches, but the Olympics are much more woven into your career and lives and probably maybe gymnastic, most other sports. Um, and this is not your first Olympics you're going to, and you're taking what, eight student athletes? It's incredible, coach.
Yeah, it's busy. You know, the most I've ever had in the past at any one global championships was five, and when I got back from that, I was exhausted. You know, I had three at the Olympic Games in Rio, and then two in Tokyo. And in Rio was just again, I was exhausted. So I gotta be on my game. I gotta be ready, you know, in Paris. You know, there's a lot of young people that have real opportunities to medal. And so we're going to go after that, go after it over there. And they're all of the mindset to go there and not just participate. They're not happy with being Olympians. They're people that want to go medal. So that's the mindset, and that's what we're going to try to do. And I I'm ready to get after it with them.
Yeah, that's it's kind of a nice ending to your Arkansas time to have this kind of emphatic statement about the quality athletes you've had.
Yeah, my time I'm so thankful for my time at Arkansas and the people in Fayetteville and our small community of Farmington right next door. Just a great group of friends and people, and and transition and change, it can be difficult, but the excitement is where it's at for us right now. Like, looking forward to what we have going on at Kansas State is I'm ecstatic about it. And um, and again, at the same time, all these athletes I've coached over the years that have been either Razorbacks or Tennessee Volunteers or Northern Iowa Panthers. I've learned Central Missouri, the Mules and the Jennies. I've learned so much from all these young people, and I would be remiss if I didn't say it. These relationships with these kids, a lot of them adults now that also have their own kids. That's it's what I value the most, and they're lifelong friendships and relationships across the board, and that's not going to change. So although we're moving on, we got some great friends and that we've established along the way.
Nothing will make you feel older until those former student athletes provide you another student athlete. That
Dude,
that that happened to me with stuff, and I'm like, how is this possible? I still feel 25. I don't understand what's going on here. It
I
doesn't
know
mathematically work out.
the math
Um,
is it's starting to it's getting close for me, man. It's gonna happen pretty soon. So
like,
yeah,
yeah, I turned 60 this summer. I'm like, what happened? I was just 40. I don't understand. I don't understand. The COVID math just sped everything up. Um, I've always said that replacing Bill Snyder as a legend is nearly impossible. And the one other coach that I can think of at Kansas State that even comes close to that is Cliff Revelto. And it might be more difficult because of the challenge of running all those sports. Cliff, I don't think people honestly, coach, enough people in this area understand how significant Cliff Revelto is in the track and field world.
yeah. He's an absolute legend, and you look at the number of Olympians that he's coached and NCAA champions and medalists. He's been doing this at a high level for a long time, and in the track world, highly, highly, highly respected
Yeah.
across all events. A good coach can coach anything, and Cliff Revelto can coach anything. Um, I admire him tremendously, even from my time as a young coach. When I was a GA at Central Missouri and considering taking a full-time job back at Northern Iowa, like I mentioned in my press conference, he sat up with me all night just talking track and field. And he's somebody I've observed and watched and learned from and asked questions to. And he's been a great mentor for me from afar and somebody I admire tremendously. So filling his shoes, you can't do it. He's Cliff
Yeah.
Revelto. Nobody's gonna replace a legend like that. But I do know how to work hard, and we're going to get after it for these student athletes. I can guarantee that.
That was the most surprising part of your press conference when you said Cliff Revelto was up till 4 a.m. talking to you. I thought Cliff would be a in the bed by 11 or midnight kind of guy if possible. I don't see him being a nighttime, stay up late and having a chat, but that's pretty cool.
I don't know if Cliff sleeps. I don't know if his brain stops. To be honest with you, that dude. And maybe I should say it. I shouldn't say it. What that night we didn't. We did not have a glass of wine with us, but I've had a glass of wine with him before too, and you can get him tell him some stories. It's
Oh,
pretty
that's
awesome.
awesome. No,
Yep.
that's a note to self moment right there. If I have him on this show, I'm going to give him some wine. Um, he's also known as a multi-sport coach. And that's really been kind of his secret sauce is bringing in heptathletes and decathletes who can help him in individual sports too, and score a lot of points in meets. And I thought it was interesting that that's your background too, as a former decathlete. And how does that play in? I don't know how to exactly express this. The mathematics of winning track meets is having those multi-sport people.
Yeah, when you look at the heptathletes and the decathletes, I think it's a part of the program that we want to have. It's going to be an instrumental part of K-State's program. It's been a huge part of my career in coaching and competing. It's where I did 54 decathlons in my career, and it's kind of part of the fabric of what makes me love track and field. So we're definitely going to get after that part. Um, Cliff's success in that arena as well, like the literature that he's even written, it's just again a lot of stuff that I've learned from him. So in terms of the scoring, the track and field, it's competitive. Like it's there's a lot of teams that getting after this thing on a lot of fronts. So we need to have a balanced attack, not just the combined events, but we got to
Mhm.
have people in a lot of different events that are scoring points in a big way. And so, the throws, the jumps, obviously the long sprints. I've had some good success in coaching that as well. The hurdles. Um, but to cut to the point, we are gonna put an emphasis on the field events in this in a similar fashion that Coach Revelto did, and we hope to score a lot of points in the field events in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the distance crew too. Like I'm excited about our
True.
our coaches we're bringing in there, and yeah, I think we have some headway. We can make some noise on the distance front too. So I'm excited about that.
If there's one thing that's a good hobby in Western Kansas, it's going for a long run. Um, just yeah, just
it,
get out there and run.
it might depend on which direction the wind's blowing, though,
Yeah,
right?
no,
So
that's very true. That's very true. You can go out and never get back in, like almost like you're on water. Uh, Look, I know you were one, and I know you coach them, but are decathletes and heptathletes the best athletes in the world?
Well, I mean, you're gonna paint me into a corner on that. Well, I mean, people said it long before me. You're the greatest athlete in the world, right? If you
I
win the
agree.
decathlon or heptathlon, so who am I to argue with history?
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. Let's turn our attention maybe to your family. Just tell me about your family. How did you and your wife meet, and how did this all track out?
Yeah. So Nicole and I met the summer before we both went to Northern Iowa. I was playing for the South in the Shrine Bowl in Iowa, and she was cheerleading for the North. And yeah, so we got to Northern Iowa, and long story short, I shot my shot, and it worked. It,
Nice.
yep, yep.
It,
So,
it's Northern Iowa is basically Canada, isn't it? I mean, does she speak Canadian? I don't know how that works.
oh,
Uh,
dude, the northern accent as you
I
get up
know
there towards Minnesota, it's real, man. I
it's
make fun of her
crazy.
sister, her twin sister. I make fun of her all the time. She still has it.
Yeah, I've become familiar with that only because Iowa State fans absolutely flood Kansas City for the Big 12 basketball tournament.
Oh yeah.
I joke that it's Cancun to the folks from Iowa. They just show up as big in numbers as the University of Kansas, which has a 20-minute drive. So but then you start hearing that kind of almost Minnesota accent. You're like, you're from Iowa? What?
I
I'm really
know.
familiar with the southern part, apparently.
It's Interstate 80, man. So it's
Yeah,
Interstate 80. I'm from right near Interstate 80, so I don't have that northern accent. But you get north of that, and you start to hear it. That's for sure.
Kansas.
Yep.
As you mentioned earlier, Kansas State has these weird overlaps with Northern Iowa. That I mean, even Colin Klein, the former quarterback, went there to coach a year before coming back here. It's just kind of interesting how and there's some football history there. Chris Kleinman played on a team at Northern Iowa that won at Kansas State when football was so awful here. It's
Yeah.
just an interesting overlap between these two
It
institutions.
it is. There's also in your foundation there is one of my former athletes at Northern Iowa, Brady Fritz, who's helped us
Oh,
a ton
wow.
too, and trying to figure out life up there. And so I've called on him a lot as well.
Let's take a short break and hear from our sponsor, Blueville Nursery.
For competitively priced landscape design, irrigation, and lawn maintenance, turn to Blueville Nursery, a family-owned business with more than 50 years of experience. You can trust the Blueville team to design and create a landscape that will accentuate your property's aesthetics. And visit our garden store 6 days a week for the best products in the area. From ornamental trees, shrubs, and flowers, Blueville has it all. Blueville Nursery, located on West Anderson Avenue in Manhattan, Kansas.
Now, let's return to the studio. So, when did you and Nicole get married?
We got married in '02. Yeah, so we've
Okay.
been married. Yeah, married 22 years now. She's
That
put
snuck
up
up
with
on
me
you,
that.
didn't it?
She's put up with me that long, man. It is amazing. And we have three kids. Our kids are 10, 11, and 12. Ellyn is 10, Jax is 11, and Jones is 12. All three are adopted. We've had them all since the day they were born, though, and they're energetic, man. they are gonna bring it, and once we get up to K-State, they're gonna be the biggest fans as well. But be ready, we're coming.
Yeah, well, I applaud you for adopting. That's really cool. My wife and I had that conversation. We weren't able to have children of our own. We had that conversation, and instead birthed a business in 1998 that was pretty time consuming. So we're now dog people. We
Yeah.
we did not adopt, but I greatly admire you for doing it. What came to that decision? To not just adopt, but do it basically 3 years in a row.
Yeah, well, life is never as you plan it, right? And
No,
so I got to give my wife Nicole all the credit on all of it. She's an amazing person. I'm excited for everybody up there to get to know her. A lot of my athletes call her Mama Nicole, and she makes everybody around her better. And in that journey of adoption, we started with our oldest Jones, and we adopted him in Virginia, and then shortly thereafter, our adoption attorney reached out and said, "Hey, know that you just got this one, but you never know when it's going to come again. We have another birth mom. Are you interested?" And we're like, I think Jones was 10 months old at the time. We're like, yeah, all right, let's go. And so we did that, and then shortly after that, our first and our third are actually full biological siblings, and
oh wow,
so yeah, which is pretty amazing. And so then that came about, and we're like, we can't. We thought we
yeah,
done it too, and like we're not going to say no to that. So we had three in diapers at the same time, man. It was wild.
that no, no, that no, no. I now greatly admire your wife for. I take it she wasn't working at the time.
No, she's a teacher, and yeah, she was. It was crazy. And then we had daycare, and then we ended up hiring a nanny, which was absolute awesome. Lindsay, she was awesome, and uh, and then I tried. We were feeding formula, right? And
Mhm.
so I I traveled a lot as a coach, and it was my goal that if I was home, I would do the night feedings. And
Nice.
so I did my best to do that, and I was a zombie. Like, and how she did it far more than I did, I'll never I'll never know, because we were running on fumes for 3 years, man. Yep.
My favorite drug's caffeine, so
No, I know. I got my coffee right here.
yeah, I'm a 5-hour energy guy only because, they don't have, like, injection pins that you can stab yourself in the neck with caffeine. I would appreciate someone coming up with that because it would really help me. But yeah, I'm so addicted to caffeine, it almost doesn't work. I'm not tired, but I'm never energetic anymore, so maybe that's just because 'cause I'm old. But,
You got to find
yeah.
that balance. You'll figure it out. But we're gonna get along well, because I'm a caffeine guy myself. I tried to quit once, and that was stupid and painful.
Oh,
So
coach,
I'm not doing that again.
if I forget to take my afternoon 5-hour at about 7 p.m., I have a blinding migraine. I'm that addicted.
Oh
So
yeah.
I have a reminder that goes off in my head with it feeling like it wants to explode. It's a sad situation being an addict. Probably be on the streets at some point, just begging people for change so I can go get a Dr. Pepper or something. Um,
Oh,
yeah. So tell me a little bit about the kids. What are their interests?
our oldest is like everything science and Legos and building stuff like that.
Awesome.
He's a little bit shy. Once you get to know him, like he'll open up. But it's hard for him to go up and introduce himself to people. So he's working on that. He did a good job at the press conference. I was really proud of him. And our middle one is everything sports. He's my shadow, man. He always wanting to come to practice, always wanting to try new things. I mean, literally every sport, all the time, as much as you can get, all of it. Like it's pretty insane.
Awesome.
And then our daughter is a little social butterfly. She's into sports and gymnastics and baton twirling um and all that stuff. A little bit more the social side of it, I think, for her. But all three, and I said it jokingly in our press conference, that we're batting 1,000 in ADHD, but it's pretty true,
That jumped out at me. I'm like, oh, that poor man. That poor man.
man.
3 kids about the same age bouncing off walls.
Oh man, they bring it. Like I said, they bring it. But we're it's just but they're all great kids, and it's just so cool to see them with some of my athletes, some of our former athletes are having kids of their own now, and they bring those kids over, and to see ours at an age where they're just caring people, and
Mhm.
so I just love to see them interact with other kids and all that stuff, and so they're too young to be nostalgic, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
No, that is pretty cool. You were blessed by that, and I'm sure he's looking forward to, when he saw those facilities nestled together at Kansas State, being able to go from dad's practice to go peek at football practice. This is like the biggest play yard for a kid ever. This is
Oh,
a great setup for him.
yeah, I think there's already Addison with digital media has already got some long jump shots of Jax long jumping in that new facility, so they'll probably use that somewhere along the line. So it's pretty
What
cool.
is his best sport?
The kid is shifty. Flag football. Hey, you know what? I'm gonna use this right now. So Kenny Lanou, his son,
Mhm.
right, and a group of
Yeah.
kids up there, they're gonna play some flag football, right? And I want our son to play flag football so bad up there, but they're looking for a coach. So anybody out there that wants to coach a bunch of 11-year-olds in flag football, get a hold of Kenny and let's tee this thing up, man. Because I love watching those kids get out there and play and develop. And but to answer your question, it's probably football right now. He's a shifty little dude.
That's awesome.
Yep.
You can't coach that.
No.
That's gotta be in there. So yeah, if anyone wants to coach this flag football team, reach out. I've got Kenny's number. We'll get you connected if you
That's
wanna
awesome.
do that to your life.
Coaching,
My
man.
dad my dad was a former, high school football coach, and, he'd won some state championships in Illinois and Michigan, and then, got out of the vow of poverty at teaching and got into insurance. So the poor man was left coaching my flag football teams when I was young, and I thought, "This guy knows football better than anyone," until I met Bill Snyder,
Yeah.
and he's coaching flag football. If we could find one of those, if one of those dads that has an extensive knowledge of football, running complex, we're running stuff that the poor defense had no idea. It's great coaching. Wasn't ability on my part, I promise.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
grew up
We'll get
just an hour down the road, so I kind of
what town? Where are you from?
Salina,
Oh, okay. Cool.
Salina, and my dad's a Northwestern grad, so he told me I was free to pick any school that was purple and white with Wildcats. Which,
All of what, two?
yeah, there might be a third because
Is
Kenneth,
there?
I can't remember. There seems like there's a small college that's the Wildcats. At I don't know, but yeah, I was very settled in my choice of Kansas State. It's where I wanted to go anyhow.
That's
So,
awesome.
but yeah, even back then it was about the people, and it sounds like your family's going to thrive in the community. Got to keep the kids out of Aggieville when they're in high school. Okay, you gonna work on that. Gonna
Yes.
work on it.
Yes. You're right.
Manhattan kids grow up a little faster, with all the college kids around in a small
Yeah.
town atmosphere. So, but yeah, have you ventured into Aggieville yet for dinner or
I've
anything?
No, I've driven by it. I've driven by it, but isn't there the is that where Taco Lucha is
Yep,
right there?
that's my
Yeah.
favorite spot.
Okay. We got to go check that out for
Yep,
sure.
and you'll have to wait, but just go into it knowing that. And
Okay.
we have weird drinking laws where you can't carry alcohol out of bars. Um, but they have a corral now. Literally, that's what it's called. They have corrals outside where the city will allow you to drink. Thank you, city. So you can sit out there and enjoy the weather in August in Kansas. It's really lovely. You're going to enjoy it. And have a beer, and your kids can have something non-alcoholic. But yeah, that's by far my favorite place in town. It's worth the
Cool.
wait. Let's put it that way.
Good. We'll go hang out in the corral. I'm for that.
What
Awesome.
what side of town are you looking at in for your house?
Well, we're kind of on the southwest side of town.
Okay.
I mean, we did a whirlwind, man. We
Uh,
David Renberg, our realtor, we wore him out, and we hit it hard. I only had a day. We only had a
yeah.
day, and just with the Olympics coming up and all of it, and so um, I'm actually gonna go walk through the house on Wednesday before I head out to Paris to get some. Yeah, I can't remember how big the master closet is, and Nicole wants a picture of that. So we're yeah. we're in it, man. It's game
Man, I'll
on.
tell you what, no matter how busy you are, the spouse duties never end. You know, it's like my poor wife works her butt off, and I'll call her up and say, "Could you stop by somewhere on your way home? Because I work from the house. I'm not leaving. I'm a shut in." Spouse duties never end.
uh, yep.
Yeah, it's a great community. I'm sure there's one of the things I love about Manhattan is I still drive around town, and you'll go, I've never noticed that road before. And it goes up in a hill and there's houses up there. And it's like, there's so many nooks and crannies of this community.
Yeah.
It's really a wonderful place. But um, so kids getting into a new school, they're all going to be in the same grade school, I would imagine, 10, 11, 12. Um, that's got to be terrifying for them.
Yeah, yeah. New schools are tough, and completely transparent and honest. Like my only really point of anxiety is that, right? Just
Yeah.
moving the kids to a new school and just hoping that everything goes smoothly, and I'm sure it will. And that's one thing I really appreciate my wife on this, and she's like I've got this. I've got this. The kids are going to be great, and so looking forward to them making new friends, and getting the school year started, and all that stuff, and just finding their group of people, and the stuff that they like to do. Hopefully pretty quickly. And Manhattan just seems like such a welcoming community.
Mhm.
I'm excited for that. Looking for a good place. I have a couple of go-karts, so I'm looking for a good place for our oldest son to ride go-karts around somewhere, because we live in town. But and then sports and stuff for the other two. So yeah, we'll get there, and get it rocking. I'm looking forward to them to connect with people, though.
Okay, so now we've got folks. We need a youth football coach for flag football, and we need someone with go-kart, track, area, dirt, something. Okay,
Dirt,
let's work
man.
on that.
Little dirt track. Let them go out and roll around. It'd be fun.
Yep. That sounds like a plan. Anything else you need, Coach?
I know. I'm putting all my asks out there.
The
Oh,
the
shoot.
the
That's
small
awesome.
crew that loyally listens to this podcast will probably help you out. But yeah, you're not going to be starved for keeping the kids busy. I don't think it's a lot of people being a coach. You'll have a lot of people reach out.
Yeah.
Well, I know you got to get going, but I got to ask this: you're going to be so busy in Paris. Um, is there anything you're going to try to do for self-fulfillment? Is there anything out there that I want to do this while I'm in Paris?
Oh, wow. Wow, Fitz. To be honest with you, I'm so focused on these athletes, it hasn't even entered my brain. Like it's, I think, out of the 10 days of track and field competition, I only have one day where I don't have somebody competing. So it's it's pretty wild. Yeah, yeah. And it's interesting as a coach, like, and you get these blinders on, right? There's just
Mhm.
there's nothing else. And
Right.
you tap into it as an athlete when it's just there's nothing else. And I think you tap into it as a coach where there's nothing else. So not a very exciting answer I gave you, but I'm dialed into these young people, man. I want to help them fulfill their dreams, and that's my focus right now. Yep.
I hear you. I mean, when we cover bowl games and we go to these cool spots, people go, "What all did you do?" And I said, "Well, I went to press conferences and worked because I
Yeah.
was I was on a business trip." It doesn't matter if I'm in New Orleans or I haven't been to Shreveport, and I don't mean to disparage Shreveport. I'm still going to be working for the bowl game. But yeah, that's awesome. What an amazing event to get to be at the not just be at the Olympics, but to be there for the entire track and field athletics competition is amazing.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's just what an opportunity. Well, Coach, appreciate it so much and making time for us today. And I know you got to get rolling, and you are very busy. So thank you. I appreciate it. I look forward to meeting you in person. And welcome to Manhattan, Kansas, the friendliest place in the world.
I love it. Thanks, Fitz. I appreciate the time, and go Cats.
Thanks, Coach. Man, I appreciate Coach making time for me. Saved my butt in terms of trying to get a podcast up on Monday, because nobody likes to fail their routine when they're releasing episodes on a weekly basis. But I appreciate him jumping in, filling my slot that I had open suddenly, and just being very gracious with his time. And I hope you enjoyed that interview. What a cool dude. I mean, man, he just feels like he fits at K-State. And I think Gene Taylor's done it again. How does he always hire people so well? It's really an amazing trait. And here's what I think it gets back to. Gene has a great feel for people. And what I mean by that is he when he meets them, he understands if they're good people or maybe a little bit shady, or, if they're going to fit here. He just knows what fits at Kansas State. He's zeroed in on that, and he's doing an incredible job. And I think Coach Geopfert follows right in those steps. Well, that's it for this week's Life of Fitz. Hope you enjoyed it. Coach was amazing. I'll be back next week with Jill Shields if that one records. Jill, it's me. It's just me. Don't worry. We'll get it done. I appreciate everyone watching. I'll talk to you real soon. I appreciate you listening to this week's edition of Life of Fitz. And thank you to all the great people at Blueville Nursery for sponsoring our show. This has been a Spirit Street production.